Hi, I'm Joe Williams, Campaigns and Communications Officer for the Fire Brigade Union. I'm joined again by General Secretary Matt Wrack. Matt, 2 years of negotiations now, industrial action's taken place. What exactly is the FBU so concerned about with the government's proposals on pensions?
Well, I think despite the nearly 3 years now of negotiations during which we've presented a huge amount of evidence, the government hasn't moved on the key issues, and the key concerns, I suppose, cutting them down as closely as we can, are around we want a affordable, sustainable and fair pension scheme that takes account of the occupation that our members do, which is firefighting. We don't have that currently. So for different groups of members, we have large numbers of members in the firefighters pension scheme, for example, who joined the fire service, were asked, encouraged to join a pension scheme, signed up to it. They've paid in for many, many years, thousands and thousands of pounds into a scheme, and the government comes along and rips up that agreement and says, we're terminating that, you're now going on to a new scheme. That's outrageous, and those members are rightly very angry. We've then got the scheme that, in our view, doesn't work. It doesn't take account of firefighting, it doesn't take account of the fitness demands of the fire service, and we've highlighted that through the idea of no job, no pension, i.e. that as people get older, their fitness declines, they won't reach the fitness standards of the fire service, and they won't be able to claim their full pension. So it's developed now, and we hear some people saying that people have got a choice at that point. They can either choose to take a massively reduced pension, reduced by almost half, or they can face the sack. Well, it's not much of a choice to face the sack after paying into a pension scheme for 35 years, and that's the risk that we've identified then. I suppose the third main area, there's others as well, but the third main area is about the cost of the scheme. Firefighters are paying a huge amount, and when you talk to, even when you talk to politicians, other members of the public, whatever, people are taken aback by how much firefighters are paying in. Firefighters paying something, most firefighters currently paying about £3,800 on basic salary. That's a huge amount to be paying in every year into a pension scheme, expected now to rise to £4,000 or more next year from April. So again, it's about the affordability, and members, on the back of having low pay rises for a number of years, pay freezes before that, people are increasingly struggling to pay the bills and stay in the pension.
So the government's counterclaims are, of course, that the pensions offer is one of the most generous in the public and private sector. Is that not the case?
It's a ridiculous claim, and it's outrageous that it comes from ministers, because one of the most generous pension schemes in the public sector is the one that the ministers are actually on themselves, and they're the very people who are attacking our pension scheme and who are much better paid than most firefighters, and therefore more able to afford to stay in their scheme. So it's not the most generous in terms of the proportion that firefighters put in compared with what their employer puts in. It's one of the least generous in the public sector, and indeed it's one of the most expensive schemes for workers anywhere in the public or private sector. So we don't accept that it's one of the most generous schemes at all.
So amongst those various concerns, the one that's probably caught the attention of the public most is the one around no jobs, no pension. What do we mean by that?
Well, we mean that the scheme needs to take account of the physical demands of firefighting. So that means sending people into burning buildings is a hugely physically demanding job. But other work that firefighters do, going up and down ladders, running out hose, these have all been measured at various times and very physically demanding indeed. And it's reasonable and it's legally expected of employers. They shouldn't be sending people to do jobs if they're not fit enough to do, because that puts everyone at risk. It puts the individual firefighter, but other members of the crew at risk, and indeed the members of the public whose property it might be. So it's a completely unsafe practice. So people need to be fit enough to do the job. And therefore the pension scheme needs to be designed to take account of the job that we actually do. There are no redeployment opportunities. We've demonstrated that very clearly, so people can't be put into desk jobs or given specialist roles that means they're not firefighting. Firefighters have to meet the demands of the role map, which means they have to be fit enough to undertake the role of a firefighter. And the pension scheme doesn't address that, and therefore there is this risk as people get older, don't meet the fitness standards because of age-related fitness decline, that they face this risk of not getting their full pension or facing dismissal.
Okay, well, the government's other claim, of course, is that the FBU has walked away from negotiations. What's the deal with that?
That's completely untrue. That's not the case at all. We've attended every meeting that we've been invited to attend. In fact, I think before the last period of strike action, when that claim was again made by communities and local government, the day before we'd been in Wales meeting the Welsh Minister, and the day before that we'd been in a discussion with the Scottish government and employer. We're regularly meeting the English Fire and Rescue Service employers, so we're not remotely walking away from any discussions. We've made clear to Brandon Lewis and any minister anywhere in the UK, we will meet them at any time to try and resolve this dispute.
Matt, thanks very much.
There's power in a factory, power in the land, power in the hand of the worker. But it all amounts to nothing if together we don't stand.